And right now, I think he's running away with Rookie of the Year. And what I like about him is that he makes the Hornets fun. He makes them fun to watch. And whenever he's on the court, your eyes are just glued to the screen. And now, hello and welcome to the Monday, March 1st edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you all Hello and welcome to the Monday, March 1st edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you all are having a fantastic day today, and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other awesome content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That would be highly appreciated. And for all the podcast listeners, remember to subscribe, leave a review if you're on Apple. Again, send me a DM on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. If you left a review, like I said, I can't see them if I'm in Canada, especially since some of my viewers are in the US. But yeah, just send it to me and I'll definitely give you a shout out. And as for my Spotify, Anchor, or Podbean listeners, just show your support in any way possible. I do really appreciate it. I have a great show lineup for you today. We are basically at the midpoint of the NBA season, so I'm going to do a little segment called Things I Got Wrong, Things I Got Right. And then I have another 3 bold predictions for the remainder of the season. We're also going to talk obviously, about the power rankings for this week, which there are a lot of changes, so you have to watch out for that. And also, just other things that are going on in the NBA and my other news and notes. So yeah, thank you guys for all the support. We are almost at 2,500 listeners. Yes, thank you guys so much for that. And again, thank you for people who participated in the giveaway last week. And yeah, with that out the way, let's get into this. Before we get into the usual topics on the show, I gotta discuss something that has been going on over the weekend. It's not really even NBA related. This incident happened in the G League, and it has to involve Jeremy Lin. So apparently, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday, Jeremy Lin released a statement saying that while he was playing a game, one of the opposition players went up and called him coronavirus. Yes, someone did that mid-game, and he brought it up on social media, and I think it's being right now investigated by the NBA G League. And I have 2 posts here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read some important notes here, and then I'll go into my thoughts. So the first post Jeremy Lin posted on Instagram, I believe that was 2 days ago. He basically said, I feel bad for someone who harbors hate for somebody else who they have never met, just based on their skin color. It makes me want to educate people, speak out, and find ways to make a difference. Honestly, it goes from anger to just heartbreak. And then he goes on to the caption where he's saying, something is changing in the generation of Asian Americans. We are tired of being told that we don't experience racism. We are tired of being told to keep our heads down and not make trouble. We are tired of Asian American kids growing up and being asked where they're really from, of our eyes being mocked and being objectified as exotic, or being told we're inherently unattractive. We are tired of the stereotypes in Hollywood affecting our psyche and limiting who we think we can be. We are tired of being invisible, of being mistaken for our colleague, and being told our struggles are not real. Very powerful stuff. Then he goes on to his next post talking about why he's not going to kind of call out the specific individual, where he basically says, I know this will disappoint some, but I am not going to be naming or shaming anyone. What good does it do in this situation for someone to be torn down? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make my community safer or solve any long-term problems with racism. When I experienced racism in the Ivy League, it was my assistant coach, Kenny Blackney, that talked me through it. He shared to me his own experience as a black man, stories of racism I couldn't begin to comprehend, stories of him being called the N-word and having things thrown at him at cars driving by. He drew from experiences, etc., etc. And he's like, and then he basically ends it off with saying, fighting ignorance with ignorance will get us nowhere. And sharing our own pain by painting another group of people with stereotypes is not the way. Yeah, this is something that happened over the weekend. Like I said, the NBA G League is going into discussions about it, and this is just pure unacceptable. It is what it is, plain and simple. Racism of any type is not condoned anywhere, whether it's on the basketball court, whether it's out in public. It's unacceptable, and and I like the way he's putting it there. There's no reason to bring down someone else to kind of get your point across. And when people were talking about this, people on Twitter, like, especially with companies finally coming out and say, we stand by our Asian American community, and because there was a lot of incidents over the past few weeks with abuse. You've seen videos on Instagram, on YouTube, of just random assaults to Asian American individuals who were called very derogatory terms, told them to go back to their country, calling them stuff because of the COVID-19 pandemic is just unacceptable. And then there's obviously those trolls on Twitter is like, what about BLM? What about that? This is not discouraging BLM or anything like that. We fight all oppression. We try and fight for everyone's equal rights, and we're all in this fight together, no matter what. As an Asian, I stand by everyone who, like, in the Black Lives Matter community. I stand by them. I cannot relate specifically to their experiences, but I will stand by them, and we will try to fight the oppression that they face. And same thing I'm going to do in my own community. When I was growing up, there was a lot of derogatory terms turned against me. People treat me different because I was Asian in a predominantly white elementary school, and that type of stuff. It just I've gone through my fair share of that, and I've had a great supporting cast around me trying to get me through these issues, and it's just unfair the way, one, that Jeremy Lin has been treated, and two, the amount of people that have just got assaulted, being discriminated in the Asian community. It's we stand by each other. We stand by each other. We'll continue to fight this. And Jeremy Lin, at least, is someone who is very popular in the Asian sports industry. Speaking up on this is very, very nice. So, yeah, if you want to read the whole thing, you can go to his Instagram. Very, very inspiring stuff. And kudos to him for being humble. Not naming at the guy. I mean, we're not, like I said, we're not gonna. This whole cancel culture thing is just not the effective way to go. It's more about teaching someone. I know it's easy for people to say that they're mean to me. It's easy to disrespect them back. But at the end of the day, we're about helping people. We're about educating them so that they will do the right thing going forward. So, kudos to Jeremy Lin. Hopefully, the G League did something about it. I wish they kind of went about it a different way, but it is what it is. But yeah, we have to continue fighting all oppressions for all religions, for all marginalized groups, and we all stand together, no matter the oppression. But yeah, we started off with that. Let's go on to the actual NBA topics. And like I said, we're halfway through the season. I think a couple of teams already played 36 plus games, so we're gonna talk about kind of my early season predictions, even my beginning of the year predictions of 2021, and see where I got with them. And I'm going to get 3 things I got wrong, 3 things I got right, and then just future bold predictions. So I'm going to alternate first with the things I got wrong, things I got right, 3 each. Let's get into it. Let's start positive. That was kind of a negative topic to start off with, but of course we have to bring that into the public, and we have to continue to fight it. But let's start on a positive note. I'm going to start with something I got right for the season, and that is the Los Angeles Clippers. I said they were going to be number 2 in the West, and although they might not be number 2 or number 1, they're basically in the mix, and they're kind of separating themselves from kind of the rest of the West at this point. And I like the way they're playing. I really do. They're a very good team. They're very under the radar, which they need. This is how they should go about things, because they were in all the spotlight. They had all the media attention last year, especially bringing in Kawhi and Paul George. They had this high precedent, this high expectation of them. And when push came to shove, they couldn't get out the second round. They let their foot off the gas pedal, and they let the Nuggets come back from a 3-1 deficit, and they became the meme of the summer. So what do they do this year? Don't talk. Don't talk. They haven't really won anything yet as a team, and they're just out there at least like night after night trying to, be the best team they could be without talking. And they're kind of taking on like the Kawhi Leonard moniker at this point in the season, because right now they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. They rank number 4 there, and they're a pretty average defensive team at 15th. But at least with that, that they have the ability to take it up to the next level when need be. What I like with the way they're playing, they're playing through their stars again. Kawhi Leonard having an MVP type season. I know I've been mentioning different MVP candidates throughout the weeks, but he is definitely up there. Paul George having a really good regular season. Injuries obviously kind of halted Paul George, even with the health and safety protocols, but he's back and he's playing extremely well this season. Nicholas Batum has been a nice addition. Serge Ibaka, obviously a nice addition. And although people like, Lou Williams and Marcus Morris are only averaging 12 points a game, they're getting good contributions from their bench, whether it's from Reggie Jackson. Some nights it's Luke Kennard, Vika Zubac. They're just getting good production from a lot of players. They're playing more as a team. And like I said, they're doing this under the radar, which is really good, because it's best that, you do really well in silence. And yes, do they need a piece or two away from, really becoming that top team in the West? Probably. But at the same time, they have the pieces there, especially with the 2 stars, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George in the playoffs, is that a question mark? Yes. But I think Kawhi Leonard is going to have another good playoff run. I know these last few games, they haven't really been doing well in the clutch, but they have that ability within them. And I trust that they will do that for the remainder of the season. And I think that they're kind of one of the hardest competition out there in the league. I mean, we talk about the Brooklyn Nets, we talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. I think the Clippers are in that top 4, top 3 sort of area. And the fact that no one's talking about them is a good thing. I mean, the only thing they really got clowned for yesterday against the Celtics was, they gave up a lead in the last 2 minutes and they couldn't buy a bucket. Really. But besides that, not a lot of people were talking about them. Keep it that way, Clippers fans. Just keep it that way and just, strike in the playoffs. But when we go to things that got wrong, I've mentioned this before, the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, I thought they were going to be 13th in the West before the season. Where are they right now? They're 5th. They're 17-12, 5th place in the West, and they're doing it the Spurs way. I mean, I thought this is the year they're going to embrace the rebuild, trade DeMar DeRozan, trade LaMarcus Aldridge, maybe even Rudy Gay, and just go all in with the youth movement. But what I've learned this year, and I feel kind of stupid for doing so, is that they don't believe in the word rebuilding. They believe in retooling. They believe in putting out the best product you can possible while balancing, the youth and the veterans. And they're doing this. A lot of players are having career type years. DeJounte Murray, man, the way he plays on both sides of the ball, really improving his offensive game, and still being that menace on defense. You gotta respect what he's doing. DeMar DeRozan. I know I didn't talk about him really much in All-Star snubs, but he deserves a lot of love for what he's been doing with the San Antonio Spurs, especially what he does on the playmaking end. I remember before when he was with the Toronto Raptors, especially in his early years, the ball kind of stuck to him. He knew how to create his own shot, but he really couldn't create for others. And the way that he did that, including the last year in Toronto, going further into his San Antonio Spurs career, he's become exceptional at it. And I love the growth he's doing there. He is a perfect, distributor for them. He's doing great, especially at the forward position. DeJounte Murray also helping out in the assist department. And then you have other people, having really good years. Keldon Johnson, when he's been healthy, he's been really good. Patty Mills off the bench, 13 points a game, has been kind of found gold over there, because we knew that he was a good bench player, but this has been a very consistent, very good year for Patty Mills. Lonnie Walker as well, 11 points per game. Marcus Aldridge doing his thing when he's not injured, 14 points a game, 4 rebounds. They just have a really good, team effort, and that's really the Spurs' way. And what I like about them is that 8 players playing, scoring in double figures, and they're doing it on both ends. The offense is kind of still trying to get there, but over the past few years, their defense has been garbage. They're getting back to that. They're 8th in the league right now, so I guess what I get to learn from this, you know, the Spurs will never die. The Spurs way will never die. Pop is an absolute living legend, one of the greatest coaches of the sport of all time. And from now on, I am never doubting the Spurs. I am never going to doubt them. And I see them, making, some sort of push in the playoffs. Maybe not making out the first round. Actually, you know what? I'll get to that in the bold predictions. But I think that they're going to give a team some fits. They're going to really annoy some teams, especially with the way they're coached. Going back to the things I got right, this is not something I got right in my preseason predictions, but in my New Year predictions, 2021, I said that the Suns were going to finish top 4 in the West, and I'm feeling really good about that prediction. And I don't want to go too much further with the Suns because I talk about them a lot on this podcast. As you can tell, I'm a big Chris Paul fan, but like I said in the past, very good on both ends. They are 7th in offense, 6th on defense. Chris Paul is being the absolute GOAT for general the way he is. Devin Booker is just improving on the daily. Last night he had a 43-point performance in a big win. And they're just playing very well. DeAndre Ayton becoming a very good defensive center. And their supporting cast has been really stepping up. And I think that everyone just knows their role. They're playing very well. They're well coached there with Monty Williams, and they just have a good mix, man. They just have a good mix of vets and young guys, and they're just growing together. They're helping each other out, and it's just a good fit. And they're slowly but surely they're creeping up into that top 3. They're only half a game behind the Clippers, only 1 game behind the Lakers. This team could be a problem, man. They could be a problem, and obviously, the Chris Paul effect is real. Whenever you bring him into a team, there's just like a sense of security and that he brings, and he's doing, again, a really good job this season. Obviously, worthy All-Star Devin Booker made to the All-Star game as well as a replacement. This team could be a problem, man. This team could be a problem. Things I got wrong. This is a good balance, You like this way? Because I think it's a good balance. Because I talk about something I did right, and then now I gotta go with something I got completely wrong on. And that was the Dallas Mavericks. I thought this was going to be a massive year for the Dallas Mavericks and for Luka. I mean, Luka's still having a great year, but the Dallas Mavericks have not been as good as I perceived them to be. And Luka can't really have that MVP moniker just because his team is just not good enough. His team is just not good enough. Yes, they have some pieces there. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jalen Brunson off the bench. Obviously, Doncic is one of my favorite players in the league. Porzingis is starting to slowly but surely kind of get back into his form. 20 points and 8 rebounds this season. And 1.7 blocks. I've mentioned in the past they need a better rim protector, though. But, you can't blame this on the Mavericks. I mean, they had many health and safety protocols early on in the season. Obviously, multiple injuries. But they just haven't really taken the next step. And with how talented the West is this year, the Warriors being really good, the Nuggets, the Blazers, Spurs, Suns, I could keep going on and on. It's going to be hard to really be right in the mix with them. I mean, if we compare the West to the East, I mean, the top 4 seed in the East right now would be number 9 in the West. And the West is just super duper talented. And you could see why it's hard to kind of be in the top half of that, which I predicted for the Mavericks. I thought they were going to be the 5th seed. But they just need to I think they're really just a few pieces away. Keep Porzingis around. I think that he could be he just needs to grow with Luka. Bring in a better defensive center. Bring in, just better shooters around them. And I think they could be a really, really good basketball team. Obviously, one of the things that kind of has slipped down this year has been their offensive rating. They were, I think, the number 1 offensive team in NBA history last year. They kind of slipped down to 12th, but they're getting back to it. But there's just a lot of problems with this team, especially on the rebounding department. They've not really moved the ball around. But the good thing is Luka Doncic is that good that they still are at 500. So, do I still think they'll make the playoffs? Probably. I still think they can. But the question is, who are they going to take out? Who are they going to take out? And it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the season carries out, because one of these teams are going to miss out. Is it going to be the Mavericks? Is it going to be the Spurs? Is it the Warriors? Who knows? But at the same time, they have a damn good shot at it. They just need to continue their offensive flow and just maintain at least an average defense. And that's what they have to do to kind of stay solid. Going to the final thing I got right. LaMelo Ball Rookie of the Year. I had a whole segment on him like early on this season, but I gotta talk about him here again. He's been absolutely phenomenal on the season. Finally, like having a consistent spot in the starting lineup. Last game, man, even his last game when they beat the Sacramento Kings, I think it was last night by 1. 24 points, 12 assists, 7 of 12 shooting. The turnovers, is it an issue? A little bit, but he's slowly but surely getting better at it. I mean, yesterday was like 3 turnovers. That's fine, especially for a guard. I think that's completely fine. And he's like having he's basically running away with Rookie of the Year in my opinion. Yes, you could talk about Tyrese Halliburton, but he's missing games because of injury, and he really doesn't have that same impact as LaMelo Ball does on the Hornets. And he's just playing extremely well. 15 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Not bad percentages as well. 44% from the field, 35% from 3. Under 3 turnovers, which is honestly pretty good for a rookie. And 80% from the free throw line. He's a good player, man. And he's getting the steals. Pretty good true shooting percentages. I think he could be a special player if they just give him some time. And right now, I think he's running away with Rookie of the Year. And what I like about him is that he makes the Hornets fun. He makes them fun to watch. And whenever he's on the court, your eyes are just glued to the screen. And that's what the Hornets need. They need some eyes on the television. LaMelo Ball brings that. And I hope he continues to do so because he is a joy to watch. And he honestly makes the other players better as well. I think that this could be, if the Hornets do this right, if they could figure this out, build around the LaMelo Ball, get the right pieces around him, the Hornets could be good for the next few years, man. And right now they're 8th in the East. Obviously with good production from Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. Even PJ Washington last night had a career-high 42 points. There's some pieces there. They have to develop together, and you have to just continue building that team with kind of LaMelo Ball as basically the centerpiece. I think this team could be really good in the future. And then things I got wrong. I have the Pelicans. Now, not for my preseason prediction because I thought they were going to be 11th. And I think they could finish around there this season. But I kind of completely swerved in my 2021 year predictions because I said that they were going to make the playoffs. And Brandon Ingram was going to be All-NBA second team. I don't think so anymore. I'll take the L on that. I think I bought in a bit too quickly. And the thing is, the way this team is constructed worried me before the season. I kind of I swerved completely going into 2021. But my early concerns were correct. They just do not have the right roster to feature Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. I think that Zion needs a lot more space inside. I mean, Adams is a good defender, but I think, getting maybe a Brook Lopez type player would be a lot more beneficial to them. There's just not enough spacing. Lonzo Ball is doing a lot better from the 3-point line, but there's still a lot of things they got to work out here. And obviously there have been a lot of rumors this season about trying to trade Lonzo Ball, which kind of confuses me because he does fit the timeline for that team. And I'm wondering, why don't you just want to trade Eric Bledsoe? Maybe there's no market for him, but I would rather trade Eric Bledsoe than Lonzo Ball at this point. Maybe bring him in just under $20 million a year. And one of their biggest problems is, and this is weird coming from a Stan Van Gundy team, their defense is trash. Their defense is absolute trash. Right now they sit 28th in the league in defense. They're a top 10 offense, but if you're giving it all back the other way, it's just not going to work out. Now, I do like a lot of their young players. Like I said, Lonzo, I think they should keep around. Zion, Brandon Ingram. These 3 guys can fit together. You just have to build a better roster around them. And they just need time to gel. This wasn't going to be a 1-year fix with Zion coming in. This is a 3 to 4 year rebuild. Not even rebuild, just, a growth together. Because we know that Brandon Ingram's a top 25 NBA player. We know that Zion is basically going to be a top 25 NBA player by the end of this year, maybe by next year. But they just need time to gel together. And whoever's running that front office needs to, just build put better pieces around them. And this team has a talent. They have talent there. whether they capitalize on it or not, it's going to be really interesting to see because they couldn't do that with Anthony Davis when he was there. They tried building a team around him, and they couldn't make it out the first round except for one time when they swept the Blazers. So I think that they have talent there. I think there's still a lot of question marks on their roster. I would say keep Lonzo Ball if I'm them, but there's just a lot of things that they have to do. But yeah, those are my 3 right, 3 wrong. Let me know if you have any of your any predictions that you got before the season right, and if you got them wrong, leave them down below, DM me, whatever it is. But I have 3 more bold predictions for this NBA season I'm going to discuss because I'm halfway through. Let's see if these ones will come true. I did this at the beginning of 2021. We are now on the 1st of March. I have some more bold predictions here that I think will play out for the rest of the season. Here's my first one. The Atlanta Hawks will miss the playoffs. Yes. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks will miss the playoffs once again. Now, the East is very close. They are very close. Right now, the Hawks are 14-20. But if they have a good week, they can go up to number 5. They can go up to number 4. This is how close the East is. Or some people like to call it, this is how trash the East is. I mean, 3 teams have the same record at 17-17. The Raptors, the Celtics, and the Heat. And literally 1 game separates 4 and 8. Which is pretty crazy. But the Hawks, when I see them play, it feels like they have no idea how to win yet. And they're a young team, which makes sense. Especially with a young coach and Lloyd Pierce, who hasn't had much experience beforehand. I just think that they haven't figured out winning. And I think that would take a couple of years together to figure out and to find their niche. But I don't think they found it yet. Because this team reminds me of the Kings a couple years ago after having a pretty solid year, I think over 500. They tried bringing in some pieces because they thought they would, some veteran pieces because they thought it was going to take them to the next level. But they regressed bad. And I kind of see that with this Atlanta Hawks team. I think that they brought in a lot of these guys because they're like, we don't want to waste Trae Young's prime years and stuff like that. Especially with John Collins at the end of his contract. Let's see what they do around a good team. And they haven't really done much. They've been one of the league's most disappointing teams. I had them in 9th, which I thought was reasonable just because I had some just concerns with the roster fit in general. And it kind of looks like that's where they'll finish. I mean, could they make the playoffs? Yeah. There's still a good chance. There's a chance of that. But with the other way the rest of the East is playing, I mean, like a lot of teams kind of stepping up to the plate, a.k.a. the Knicks, a.k.a. the Hornets, and the Bulls, it's going to be tough. And I think that they just need more time to gel together. Obviously, they missed a lot of DeAndre Hunter this year. But they have to figure out a formula for winning. And I don't think they found it yet. Trae Young is going to be great. He's going to be great either way. But who is that second guy? John Collins is really trying to be that second guy there. But I'm not sure if I can really buy into that yet. I'm a huge John Collins fan. But I'm not sure. So, yeah. The Hawks, I feel like, are going to miss out on the playoffs. Now, this one is going to be kind of weird. I think the Spurs might make the second round. And now, hear me out. I see kind of this playing out for the Spurs. Like I said, they are a very consistent bunch. They catch a lot of teams off guard. And I think that they could really fall into the 6th or 5th seed. Now, if they're in the 5th seed, they're either facing the, basically the Suns, the Nuggets, maybe even the, the Suns, the Rockets, maybe... not the Rockets, the Nuggets, maybe the Warriors, and I think the Spurs can make a matchup out of that. The way that they play on the defensive end, their kind of continuity, the way DeMar Derozan's playing, I can see them getting to the second round, man. I think they'll face off against a Suns team who, besides Chris Paul, is not as experienced. A Denver Nuggets team where they've been kind of up and down, especially in the defensive end. I think they can catch one of these teams off guard and make it to the second round. It's really bold, but I think they'll make the second round this year. It'll be definitely interesting to see how that turns out. And then my third and final bold prediction for the rest of the season is I think that Vucevic will get traded out of Orlando. I think that the Magic see this. I mean, they're a very mediocre team at the moment. I think they are 13th. And Vucevic is having an all-star year, arguably the best year of his career. And I think the Magic see this, the deadline being mid-March or somewhere around there. And I think they're going to pull the trigger. I think some teams could use Nikola Vucevic. Maybe the Celtics. Maybe the Blazers. Those are just two teams I'm throwing out there. Let me know what you think down below. But I think that they're going to capitalize on his high trade value and get him out of Orlando. And I think a team like the Celtics or Blazers really do need his rebounding, his size down there. And I think that they want to try to take themselves to the next level. And Vucevic could be a prime trade candidate come the trade deadline. But yeah, those are my bold predictions. If you have any, leave it down below. I'm excited to see your guys' bold takes down there because this season is highly unpredictable, as we've seen this season. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with some of these bold predictions. Like, if you tell me that the Knicks will make it to the second round, I mean, I wouldn't completely dismiss it. Let's say that for sure. Even though it's unlikely to happen, I wouldn't dismiss it. Before we go into the power rankings, here are some other news and notes. The Raptors are in health and safety protocol after a positive case has entered the team. They haven't announced who it was, but 6 of their coaches and Pascal Siakam could not attend the game on Friday, which they won. And then their game against the Bulls yesterday had to be postponed. No news on other postponed games, but I have a feeling that it's going to continue on for at least for this week. And then the other news that came out this weekend was that Victor Oladipo turned down a 2-year, $45 million contract extension with the Houston Rockets. Again, he's betting on himself. He thinks that he can get a bigger contract than that, maybe closer to the max. Still don't know who will pick him up for the max, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Apparently, that's the max that Houston can offer at the moment too, but Oladipo turned it down. But we're going to go into the end segments of the show. Let's go into the power rankings. There's a lot of changes, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to see where each of these teams are at right now. But this has been a whole lot of fun doing this because a lot of teams are like moving places. Some teams are on a good run. Some teams are on a bad run. And especially with the East, it's really weird because, like I said, one game separates 4th and 8th. So there could be a lot of changes over these next coming weeks, depending who has a good week, depending who has a bad week. But let's get into this. Coming in at number 10, I believe this is the first time that they're in the power rankings this year. But yeah, the defending Eastern Conference champions, Miami Heat. Right now, they're on a 6-game winning streak after another good win yesterday versus the Atlanta Hawks. They're playing very well. Jimmy Butler is playing at an all-NBA level, especially these last 2 weeks. Bam playing very well. They just got Tyler Hero back from injury, so hopefully he stays healthy. But the Heat, man, they're climbing. And that early season woes that they had, they're slowly but surely disappearing, and they're getting back to that, whatever people want to call the Heat culture. And I think that this team could, again, no one wants to see it in the playoffs because they're going to freaking work hard every single night. And that's what they're doing at the moment, and that's why they're on the power rankings. Now, I'm 100% sure this team hasn't made the power rankings this year because they haven't even been on my radar. But the New York Knicks are 4th in the East, 3 straight wins right now, just over 500. And they're rolling, man. They're absolutely rolling. One of the best defensive teams in the league, 2nd in the league. Julius Randle, all-star type year, 23 and 11. I mean, the Knicks, man. I mean, there's something to be excited over there in Madison Square Garden. The fans are back. They're winning. Vibes are good for New York Knicks fans, which they haven't really felt in a while. And, man, I mean, right now they have an Eastern Conference home court spot. And I think that, honestly, at this point, I think they can maintain this. I think maybe not the 4th seed, but they'll make the playoffs. And I think that would be annoying for any team they face them because they are a damn good defensive team and they are coached very well. So, number 9, we got the New York Knicks. Coming in at number 8, we have the San Antonio Spurs. They're staying solid 1-1 week, mostly because of the postponements. But they got a very good win the other night. I believe it was on Wednesday when they faced the Oklahoma against the Pelicans. Actually, no, Wednesday was their loss. This one was on Saturday against the Pelicans. They're looking really good. I've talked about them earlier. I just like the way this team is constructed. Nice mix of vets and young guys. Popovich is an amazing coach. They're at number 8 in the power rankings. Coming at number 7. Oh my gosh, this team dropped a lot. The Los Angeles Clippers, man. 2 losses this week, but 2 came in kind of 2 very bad ways. Their loss against the Grizzlies, they lost by 28. I mean, it was a good bounce back afterwards, winning by 20, but that was a pretty bad loss. And then yesterday against the Bucks, man. If you watch the final 2 minutes, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard couldn't buy a bucket, and Giannis just ran wild. He ran wild in that final few minutes, and they took down the Clippers, and they looked really bad in those last 2 minutes. They kind of choked it away. Obviously, the choking jokes came back, but they're still a really good team. But with a lot of teams kind of rolling this week, I had to drop them a couple places. So at number 7, we have the Clippers. Coming at number 6, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. The reason I keep them over the Clippers is that they've been really good as of late, beating the Portland Trailblazers and then absolutely demolishing the Warriors yesterday. I mean, they still miss AD. My guest on Fridays talked about, Tony from Project Drivel said, they have to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. Make him a mini pandemic, basically, so that he can kind of isolate himself for a bit and just get healthy. As long as they could do that, I can still see them as the title favorites. But they had to drop a couple of spots. I have to say that for sure. So the Lakers coming at number 6. Coming at number 5 is the number 1 team in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, they lost on Saturday to the Cavaliers, which is a rough game, especially because those are the type of games, especially if you're the 1 seed, you have to win. But a big win over the Mavericks, which they shut down Luka in a big way. And then beating the Raptors on Monday, last Tuesday, was a really good win as well. So yeah, 2-1 on the week. The loss to the Cavs was pretty rough, but Embiid, another big games this week. Ben Simmons starting to form into his All-NBA type self. They're at number 5 in this week's power rankings. Coming at number 4 is a team who went undefeated this week, the Milwaukee Bucks. After that losing streak, I think it was just a week and a half ago, they've bounced back in a big way, defeating good teams like the Clippers. I mean, I say good teams, but just pesky teams, like the Pelicans and the Kings as well. And then, or the Thunder. And they're starting to find their form back. I know 4 of these last 5 games, Giannis has averaged over 36 points. So he's been playing absolutely fantastic, back to his MVP form. Now, can they maintain this? We've seen in the past that they can, especially in the regular season. And I think that this is where maybe if the 76ers start to slide as well, maybe the Bucks can get back into that number 1 seed. So at number 4, give me the Milwaukee Bucks. Coming at number 3, we have the Phoenix Suns. Another good week for them. 2 wins back-to-back against the Bulls and the Timberwolves. A good win against the Trailblazers last Monday as well, where they absolutely smacked them. And they're just continuing to prove that with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, this team is a very good team on both sides of the ball. They're an absolute joy to watch. Coming at number 3, we have the Phoenix Suns. Number 2, we have the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden playing at an MVP level. They were on an 8-game winning streak, but just lost to the Mavericks. But that was with no KD, no Kyrie. And Harden really couldn't pull them through in that game. But 8-game winning streak, defeating good teams in the process. I think they're the favorites to come out the East, man. They look like the best team out there in the East. And this is without a KD. This is with an in-and-out Kyrie. They look like a crazy team on the offensive end. Yes, the defense is kind of worrisome, but if they could produce like that on a nightly basis on the offensive end, man, they're a special bunch. So the Nets coming at number 2. And number 1, the team who stays up there, the Utah Jazz. The way I like about this team is that even when they get put down, I mean, they lost to the Heat on Friday night. They always seem to bounce back, which is good. I don't remember the last time they lost back-to-back games. I don't even know if they lost back-to-back games this season. Actually, never mind. They lost in the beginning of January. But still, I mean, they fight hard for each other. They play extremely well in the defensive end. Number 3 on defense. Number 2 on offense. Still the best 3-point shooting team in the league right now. They are at number 1. But yeah, those are my power rankings. Let me know down below whether you agree or disagree with them. We are now into the final part of the show. TV Pick of the Week. Right now, I am 10-10 after picking the Warriors to cover against the Hornets -6. And we have another good one here tonight. We have the Brooklyn Nets taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Kyrie Irving will play tonight because he's not under injury report, so I'm assuming he's playing. And then that's our favorite -3.5. Now the Spurs, they are a feisty bunch. They will fight to the very end, and they could take down the Nets on a good night. But -3.5, I think that's too low. I would have maybe taken the Spurs if it was a 5 or 6, if they're 5 or 6 point underdogs. But the Nets are only 3.5 point favorites. I'm gonna take the Nets here. I see a huge game for Kyrie in this one. I think their offense will just be too much for the Spurs. I have the Nets here, and hopefully I can get back over 500. But yeah, that's my pick of the week. Let me know down below what you guys think. But I think this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the notification bell as well. And remember to follow @TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for just awesome content. This week, I have a All-Star preview coming out this Friday, as well as my mid-season award show, which hopefully will include a guest coming this Friday. I'll leave that as a surprise, but I think it's going to be a really fun episode. And yeah, just more NBA content coming out throughout the week. Also, remember to check out my TikTok. I'm posting there daily as well if you want some daily NBA recaps. And yeah, just enjoying creating content right now and cannot wait for what the rest of the season has to offer. But yeah, thank you guys for all the support. Hope you all have a fantastic day. TV signing out. Take it easy, guys. Peace.